Okay, we have a couple things to talk about today, my good friends and friendettes. Wish I hadn't said that. Welcome back to, on the channel, Pokemon Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Sword and Shield. I'm really excited for today's video. Let's just go ahead and talk about some stuff. So first of all, I'm exhausted. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it 101 with y'all. I'm really tired. I literally just got back from Philadelphia. I was out of town all weekend. It's currently 9 p.m. I haven't eaten in a very long time. I'm really hungry. I'm really tired. I'm exhausted. So this might be a little bit all over the place, but yeah, I'm here for you guys anyway. It's still 9 p.m. It's not midnight yet, so I can still get a video up for today like I promised. So that's the goal. Anyway, so I had a really nice weekend, but I was out of town, so I just got back. I do want to say I'm no longer sick. I'm probably 95% better, and I would like to say that the instant I got better was once the video that I said I needed 2,000 likes for my sickness to go away. As soon as that video got 2,000 likes, and I'm not making this up, that was the moment that I started feeling better, and it was just uphill from there. So thank you to everyone who liked that video. I couldn't have done it without you. My recovery is thanks to you all. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I also want to plug, just to do this at the beginning because I normally do it at the end. Got a ton of upcoming content for Sword and Shield. I want to try and do three videos per day when Sword and Shield drop. I don't know if that's realistic. I might set a like goal, just because there's going to be a ton of new Pokemon and old Pokemon that needs to be covered, and I really want to get out a bunch of Pokemon guides on how to use these Pokemon, and then sample teams, and then battles, and I'm also going to be doing a Let's Play on Twitch, so a lot of people have been asking for that, so I'm going to be playing through the games live on Twitch that whole weekend. I'm going to be doing a ton of streaming. I've blocked it off basically this whole upcoming weekend to stream a bunch. So if you're interested in watching me play, check it out on Twitch. Otherwise, I plan on having Uzi edit down the VODs and try to get them up on this channel as well. So yeah, basically I've got a lot of guides. If you're interested in competitive Pokemon or just interested in me playing the games or learning more about Pokemon as a game, this is your place. So yeah, please subscribe if you haven't already. I really would like to hit 100,000. I don't know if it's achievable, but that's the goal, and I literally can't do it without you guys. So yeah, with all that being said, let's just go ahead and jump into the video today. Really excited for this one. Basically, a lot of people have asked me for kind of beginner guides to Pokemon. Obviously, I'm the world champion. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I know a lot about Pokemon, and a lot of it is second nature to me at this point. Like, I've been doing it for so long that there's a lot of things that, if you're new to the game, can seem overwhelming, and that someone like me, when I explain the game or when I talk about the game, I don't necessarily explain. So I wanted to just go ahead and make a beginner guide so that we can all start off on the same page, and that if you are new to Pokemon, if this is the first Pokemon game you've played, or these are really important fundamentals. There are some competitive players who aren't everything builds on what I'm going to tell you, and this is probably going to have to be a multi-part series realistically. So yeah, everything's going to build from here. So even if you are a player who's familiar with the games, these are still very, very important skills to have. So yeah, you can play Pokemon without knowledge, truthfully. You really can, but if you actually want to start moving towards more of a mastery of the game, you really have to have your fundamentals down, because they matter a lot. So yeah, with all that being said, this is going to be a multi-part video. I'm just going to talk about as much as I have time for today before my stomach causes me to pass out. But yeah, I want to go through just the very basics of what you need in order to understand Pokemon and to get started in playing Pokemon, more so than just the story. So the first thing I want to talk about is the type chart. I'm going to move over here because it's going to appear right here. This is the type chart. It can look a bit overwhelming. It can look very complicated. Basically, the way that Pokemon works is each Pokemon has 1 to 2 types. And each attack has 1 type. The type chart shows the relationships between the types. This might seem really overwhelming, but I'm going to try and explain it in a way that might help you conceptualize better. This type chart is a very, very complicated version of rock, paper, scissors. The easiest example that we can look at is at fire, water, grass. So fire loses to water and beats grass. Water beats fire. Fire loses to water, beats grass. Water beats fire, loses to grass, and grass beats water and loses to fire. That's a very simple relationship, right? You can kind of see the green boxes mean that a type is effective. So if we look at water, if you were to go across water's row, and you find fire, you would see that water is 2 times in the fire box, and fire going 1 up is 0.5, which is red, in the water box. If that's making sense, basically, it's just these simple relationships, except that instead of just 3 of them, this chart is like 17, I think, or 18. I always forget how many types there are. I think there's 18 now. So for example, let's just pick a random one. If we look at bug, we go across, we see bug 2 over, that's fighting, and it has a red box, which means that bug is not very effective against fighting. So this type chart is extremely important to memorize. All relationships with Pokemon, pretty much all relationships with Pokemon, start with the type chart. So knowing the typings, knowing what moves are effective against other Pokemon are very important. And the other thing is that I mentioned earlier that Pokemon can have 1 or 2 types. So a move can actually, this chart only shows the relationships for each individual type, but it actually compounds. So for example, let's say we had a fire and grass type, okay? Then the fire part of that would be weak to water type attacks, but the grass part would resist water type attacks. So it would be a 2 times multiplier times a 1/2 multiplier for a total multiplier of 1. Basically, it's neutral effective. So basically, the range of multiplier for a move's damage, and these 1/2 or 2 times means that. Sorry, let me explain this as well. When you get hit with a move that is super effective, a move that falls into a green box, then that move would do double the damage that it would do if it was neutrally effective. Similarly, if a move is not very effective, it falls into the red box, that move would do 1/2 the damage as if it was neutrally effective. We'll talk about damage and stats and stuff in a bit, but yeah. So, for example, before we move on, if a Pokemon, let's say a Pokemon was both ground and steel type, then that Pokemon would have a 4 times resistance to rock, meaning that rock moves are 1/2 times 1/2 because both ground and steel resist rock type attacks. So basically, the base damage from a rock type attack would be cut by 4, cut by a factor of 4, meaning that move is extremely, extremely resisted by that Pokemon. For example, Rock Slide against a Steelix. Same thing goes the other way. A Pokemon can be 4 times weak to something. Tyranitar, a very popular Pokemon, is both rock and dark type. Tyranitar is 4 times weak to the fighting type because both dark and rock are weak to fighting. So some of these relationships make sense intrinsically, some of them do not. You just have to memorize it. The nice thing is that, at least in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in Gen 7, you could click on a Pokemon and it would tell you whether your moves were effective. So let's talk about moves, because you can't really understand the type chart without understanding moves. So moves, each Pokemon has 1 to 2 types. Each move has 1 type, and each Pokemon can have up to 4 moves. So a Pokemon can, in theory, use a move of any type. Every Pokemon, or like any Pokemon, is not bound by its own type in terms of the moves it uses. For example, water types often use ice type attacks because ice hits the dragon and grass types that water type attacks cannot hit, and water Pokemon often learn ice type coverage moves. A coverage move is a move that you would use to hit something that your primary types normally cannot do damage to. So yeah, ice and water is a really good example and kind of makes sense thematically. So so you're kind of wondering, why do types matter at all other than the multipliers? Using an attack that is the same type as your type, so a water type Pokemon using a water type attack gets a multiplier of 1.5. So that's called stab, same type attack bonus. Very important in the game. So yeah, so that's every Pokemon can use built-in bonus if they use attacks of their own type. Yeah, moves. You have 4 moves. There's damaging moves, then there's status moves. So within damaging moves, there's 2 categories. There are physical attacks and special attacks. We're going to get more into this later. I probably can't talk about stats in this video. We'll do that in another video. But basically, there's 6 stats, and 4 of those are offensive stats. Well, 4 of those are related to the offensive stats. There's attack, defense, special attack, and special defense. Basically, when calculating damage, attack is calculated of the aggressor, of the attacker, and defense is calculated of the defensor. For a physical attack, attack correlates with physical attack. Special attack, the stat, and special defense correlate with special moves. So, yeah. So a Pokemon normally uses either physical or special moves. Those Sun Pokemon use both, and those Pokemon are referred to as mixed Pokemon. They run both attack and special attack. So both attacks, physical attacks and special attacks. So yes, that's the physical special split. We'll talk more about stats later, as I said, but yeah, basically most Pokemon will use either physical attacks or special attacks, and shoot, I totally just lost my train of thought. But yeah, basically, oh yeah, and each move has a base damage, a type, and either it will be physical or special or status. Status don't do damage; they do other kinds of effects. Some of the most famous status moves are Protect, which shields the user from damage for a turn, and moves like Trick Room, which have some kind of effect on the battlefield. Moves like Sunny Day, moves like Growl, those are all status type moves because they don't inherently do damage. Some status moves can imply damage. For example, Sandstorm does passive damage, as does Toxic, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, so those moves can still those moves still cause damage to be had, but they still qualify as status moves. So those are all really important things. Quick recap, we have the type chart, which I will move off the screen now. The type chart, which we just mentioned, talks about the relationship between moves and how moves interact with attacking moves interact with defending Pokemon, causing multipliers and extra damage or reduced damage to be taken based on the effectiveness of the move. Moves are then split between physical and special moves. You can look online to see what category a move falls into, or it will tell you in the game itself, whether it's physical or special. They have their own icons. Yeah, I haven't actually gotten as far as I wanted. Really quickly, the last thing I want to talk about in this video, I'm going to have to make several videos on this, I realize. My guide is quite long. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is status effects. If you've played through the game, you're familiar with them. Poison is the most famous one. There are 5 status effects. Poison, Burn, Paralysis, Sleep, and Freeze. And Confusion is technically not a status effect, but counts as one, basically, effectively. So, Burn does 1/16 damage per turn to the Pokemon that is burned. It lasts forever. All these last... Well, no. Burn lasts forever, and it also cuts the Pokemon's physical attack in half. So, as we were just mentioning, a special Pokemon doesn't mind being burned, but it's a really big deal for a physical attacking Pokemon to be burned. So, for example, a Pokemon like Latios doesn't really mind being burned because it's a special attacker. However, a physical attacker such as Tyranitar... Tyranitar can be mixed. Let's say Steelix or Excadrill or Landorus Therian, although that could also be mixed. Those Pokemon suffer a lot from being burned. The next status is Poison. There's 2 types of Poison. Regular Poison, which does 1/8 damage per turn, no other effect. And Badly Poisoned, which does 1/16 damage per turn, but every turn it adds an additional 1/16 if the Pokemon stays in the field. So it does 1/16, then 2/16, then 3/16. You can reset the timer at any point by switching out. This is very popular in single battles because for bulky wall Pokemon or Pokemon that have recovery, it's a good way to add up damage over time and ensure they can't just sit there forever. Then there's Paralysis, which does cuts the Pokemon speed by 1/2, and has a 1 in 4 chance that the attacking Pokemon cannot move. So Paralysis used to be a lot stronger. It used to cut speed divide speed by 4, making it a factor of 1/4 overall of what it used to be. But the real power of Paralysis, in addition to the speed, is the fact that it is a 1 in 4 chance that the attacking Pokemon can't move, just counting all other effects that could happen as well. Then there's Sleep. Sleep, when a Pokemon gets put to sleep, it has a 1 in 3 chance that it will sleep for 1 turn, be unable to move for 1 turn, 2 turns, or 3 turns. After a Pokemon has slept for 3 turns, it's guaranteed to wake up. So you can never sleep for more than 3 turns, and in these games, after you sleep for a turn, if you switch out, your timer does not reset. So you can sleep for a turn, switch out, and then have a chance to wake up coming back in, even though you've switched out. So sleep in the past it didn't work like that. Changed over a lot over the years, but now Sleep does work like this, where it does not reset if you switch out. The last one is Freeze. Freeze is infamous for probably being the worst status condition to be affected by. When you're frozen, you have a 1 in 5 chance each attack that you will thaw out. Otherwise, you are unable to move. It's a permanent sleep that never goes away. Some moves will thaw you behind being frozen, such as Scald. And any fire-type attack, if you're hit by it, will thaw you. So that's a big deal because if you have, say, Hidden Power Fire on your team and you're playing double battles or VGC, such as what I primarily play, you can actually unfreeze or thaw your partner by hitting it with your own fire-type attack. So if your Grass-type Pokemon gets frozen and you have Scald on your team, Scald is a move that will thaw even though it's not a fire-type attack. then that's something that you can do. And a lot of players will miss strategies like that because they're not aware of how the mechanics work. So that's one example of why this is so important. The last one is, well, the last one that's not really one is Confusion. Confusion is the only one that will go away if you switch out. Confusion will last for, I actually don't know how long it lasts for. 2 to 5 turns is what I want to say, but I'm actually not positive. While you're confused, you have a 1 in 3 chance of doing damage to yourself instead of attacking. So it's quite annoying, but the odds aren't that high, but it can be devastating. It used to be 50%, and that was really scary. But yeah, Confusion, the damage you do to yourself is based on your physical attack compared to your physical defense. It's as if you're using a weak attack on yourself. So, yeah. This video's gone a little long, and I probably can't talk about the other things that I want to talk about, so I'm just going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching, and again, for all the support. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you for making sure that I get better. That was awesome. Y'all are the best. Yeah, check back tomorrow. I might continue the series tomorrow. I might kind of just do it here and there, but yeah, let me know if this is helpful for you guys. Let me know if this is content you want to see. If this video gets, let's say, I don't know, 1,500 likes, then tomorrow's video will be a continuation of the guide. It might be it anyway. I don't know, but we'll just kind of play it by ear. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Peace.